All right, we are back live on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith, and we got Richie joining me tonight. Richie, how we doing so far, man?
Doing great, man. It's hump day. I just got a fresh cut tonight. Feeling
Yeah,
great. Feeling
looking
good.
good,
Feeling good. Looking
looking
good.
fresh.
Hey, man.
Absolutely. Hey,
Right.
I always said when I used to play, like so. I'll tell you a quick story since you brought it up. My either sophomore or junior year, I forget which one. I went out and it was like fall camp. I went out and we had white helmets, and I took black athletic tape and I striped my face mask with it. And I went out, and this coach looked at me, and like I had two older brothers that played for all these coaches, right? And so they knew my older brothers, and they looked at me and they go, What are you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, man, look good, feel good, play good. Like, come on." And he
Trying to
was
be
like,
like
"Bro,
Sean Taylor.
yeah." And he was like, "Dude, if you're gonna do that, you better go ball out." And he was he was just like giving me shit because he knew Zach, and and I went out. I had two pick sixes in that practice, and I looked at the coach after. I was like, "I told you, look good, feel good, play good, man. Come on." And it was, oh
Nothing,
shit, we got some.
nothing like the glory days.
Absolutely, it was good. But yeah, man, hey, when you get a fresh cut, or you get your like, for me, getting my beard lined up and everything, like you look good, and then you feel good, and you play good, man. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, it's a great little Wednesday night. We got my Kentucky Wildcats right now playing. They're up 7 on Vandy. I don't know what to think about this basketball season, man. This is wild.
Eh, all I
But
can say is the Kent State Golden Flashes are on a little bit of a winning streak.
ooh,
5 games. The
look
Flashes.
at that. Are they going to make the tournament?
They got to beat Akron.
Yeah,
Akron's tough. I think they're
yeah.
undefeated in conference play, so we'll see.
Well, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I mean it is. We got a comment from my guy DJ on Twitter. Apparently, I didn't even know this would pop up, but
Ooh.
he said, "I have nothing to add other than I'm 30 minutes from Notre Dame and wearing all OSU shit, about to walk into a bar." Hey DJ, I hope you get your ass kicked.
DJ, I am there with you in spirit.
But DJ's a big motherfucker, so nobody's gonna mess with him.
Oh
So
no, no, yeah. I mean, who would?
yeah, but other than that, man, there's a lot going on. Obviously, a lot of basketball stuff and things like that, but a lot going on. We have the college football playoff. They had a lot of talks going on about expanding it and whatnot. So we'll get into that a little later in the show. But did you see Ryan Day's comments about it?
I briefly saw something that there needs to be changes made to it. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't really read into it.
we'll talk about what he said exactly. It's I don't disagree with what he said. I'll say that, but it's getting a little blowback coming from him, and I'll leave it at that for right now. But the numbers for the Super Bowl were released, and when you compare Super Bowl viewership to the Natty, how do you think that went?
I think the Super Bowl had more viewership because I think people were wanting to see Philly.
Yeah, it was not even close. I
Yeah.
mean, not even on the same
Well, I mean,
days.
you have it on a Monday. I mean, it's like Jesus.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I agree with that, but I mean, at the same time, it doesn't matter, and this is what people need to understand. Because, like, listen, I'm a huge college football fan. I've always been a college football fan over NFL until uh, recently. Like, I still am now, but that's more so because the Browns are fucking awful again. But there was probably like a 3 or 4 year span where I really was into the NFL more than college football. But all my life, I've always been more of a college football fan. But and college football fans don't understand this. The NFL is so much larger than college football. Like, it's not even close.
no, it's not.
You had you had the two of the biggest brands in college football playing for the national title and drew 22 million, which
Which
isn't bad.
it's not bad. I thought it would draw more numbers than that because, like you said, it's the two big name
Yeah.
brands in college football. I thought they'd maybe have like 40 million watching that game.
Yeah. Well, and like I know Ohio State and Notre Dame, regionally they're located in the same area, but they're national fan bases, so you thought it would draw more. But it takes like college football so regional that when it's Notre Dame, Ohio State, even though they have such national fan bases, it's still like you're not getting the South to watch that. Like they don't care that much. Like diehards do, but a lot of people still aren't watching it. Whereas with the Super Bowl, man, that's a national thing. Everybody's watching it.
And the NFL is such a powerful brand. I mean,
yeah. I mean 127 million is absolutely insane.
I mean, if you could have the Cleveland Browns and
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. People are going to tune in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does not matter at all. But it was, I mean, and I even thought viewership for this Super Bowl might be a little down just because I think people are getting fatigued with the same teams playing for it. Like, it's always the Chiefs and Eagles. Like, that's 3 in the last 4 or 5 years?
I think not Philly. I think Kansas City's been in it 4 of the 5.
Yeah, they've been in 4 of the 5 times. And then, but they've played Philly 2 of those times at least. Yeah.
57 and 59.
Yeah, exactly. And then didn't Philly win it a couple years before that too? So like it's
Philly
a lot of the same.
Super Bowl 52 against the Patriots.
Okay, I guess that was a little longer ago.
I can't believe it was that long ago though.
Yeah, it's just I mean you're getting a lot of the same people in it over and over. Like obviously Kansas City get San Francisco, Philly, like those same teams keep repeating, and I feel like it gets old. But for NFL fans, that's not at all how it is. Like they don't care; they're all tuning in, and then all the fringe people tune in as well. So, yeah, I was hoping for a Lions Super Bowl. That would have been cool. I feel like viewership would have been crazy if the Lions made it.
I was rooting for them, even me being a big Bucs fan. I knew they didn't have a shot to get to the Super Bowl, but I was rooting for Dan Campbell and the Lions because they've been bad for so long, and finally they're on top. They were on top of the NFC. It's like, and they just shit the bed. It's like, damn it,
Dave, cynical Lions fan, not me. I knew how it was turning out. I know. As a Browns fans, I can almost relate to that. Almost. We aren't quite on the same level, but close. But as we get ready for the Combine and NFL draft season, I saw this. The 2025 running back draft class got ranked. You can probably guess who's number 1. Who do you think's number 1?
Genty. Genty's number 1.
Yeah, Genty's number 1. They project him as like a top 10 pick, which I think is crazy. But that's fine. But I saw this and I was a little surprised, honestly. Really, I don't know. I don't agree with this. I just I understand why they have Genty as number 1. That I don't have as much a problem with. But when you look at the rest, like Dylan Sampson, I think is way too low. Just my opinion. Dylan Sampson,
he's
the best running back in college football.
I would agree with that.
He should be running back in college football.
He should be at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I think Trey's too low. I think. I mean, people love Omarion Hampton, and don't get me wrong, he was good. I like him a lot, but I just my problem with Genty and Hampton is twofold. I just, bro, you're at North Carolina. I'm sorry, like you didn't play anybody. Like he played more than Genty did, but Genty did more, I guess. I don't know. And Caleb Johnson was good, but
he wasn't. He didn't blow me. He didn't blow me away. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't like electric.
No, and I still think and the fact that there's 2 Ohio State running backs in the top 5, like, shouldn't that boost them even more? Like
it should. I mean, I saw Tom McShay saying Trey's going to go round 1. I'm like, there's no way he's going to go round 1. He's round 2, maybe early 3rd. Maybe.
Oh, I disagree completely. I think Trey should be the second running back off the board. I think Trey is a more complete back than Quinshawn.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, you can catch the ball out of backfield. You can hit the hole quick.
He's better in pass pro. I mean, all around, I think TreVeyon Henderson, if he goes late second, early third, that could be the steal of the draft, in my opinion. I think he's going to be absolutely insane. And Josh Jacobs is a good comp. I don't disagree with that. I think Trey's got better top end speed than Josh Jacobs does, but I don't. Comparing Ashton Genty to LaDainian Tomlinson is fucking insane, though.
That comp. I don't know about that comp. That comp is
also
like LT was more compact and like I don't know. Like for me, Genty's just too slim for me. You know what I'm saying? He's not.
I mean, he's a big
dude, but he doesn't have that body type like Emmett did or LT did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, he's taller. I think this Henderson reminds me of OJ before he cut people's heads off. I don't know if he cut their heads off. He just stabbed them a lot of times. But regardless, and here, so I guess let me ask you this. Do you think Najee Harris is worthy of a first or second round pick now? Like, given what he is in the NFL, would you if you redraft that year, are you taking Najee Harris in the first round?
I would still take Najee Harris first round.
Really?
I would still take him because the kid's been just. I think he's had 1,000 yards since he's been in the league.
He just is so underwhelming to me. I don't know. I'll have to look it up, but no, I like when I saw that comp for who was it for Caleb Johnson. I was like, comparing him to Najee Harris isn't like that for me. That's not like a good thing. Like, I think Najee Harris is a very mediocre running back.
He was a stud in college, and I think his rookie year, he was phenomenal.
Now, granted, you're right. He's gone over 1,000 yards every year. I mean, granted, it's always been like by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
Like his rookie year, he went for 1,200. Next year, 1034, 1035, 1043. Like, he's barely getting 1,000 yards, and he only averages on his career 3.9 yards per carry. Like, and I know Pittsburgh's O-line has not been great, so I know that plays a fact. But like, if you're telling me that and he's played every game, like he hasn't missed a game. It's not like injury plays a fact. He's gone for barely 1,000 yards, and his career high touchdowns is 8 on a season.
But he's been splitting carries with Jalen Warren though the last couple of years.
Yeah, but like barely. He's still the main back. He just, I don't know. Like if I'm taking a running back in the first round or top 50, I gotta get more out of him than 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns a year. Like, that's not enough. Yeah. And his receiving yards, he's never gone over like 500 receiving yards. Well, I mean, his rookie year, he went for 400, but every year after that, it's barely 200 receiving yards. And like, obviously, like you said, Jalen Warren comes in. But I mean, you're talking about this guy is not a 3-down back. He's barely giving you 3-4 yards a carry. I just, if I'm taking a top 50 back, it's got to be better than that, or else I'm not taking him. I don't want that. And when you look at the other comps, like if you pull up like Genty, LaDainian Tomlinson, obviously if you can get an LT, like yeah, Jonathan Taylor, yeah, Joe Mixon and Josh Jacobs, yeah. But Najee Harris is the worst comp on the list, other than maybe.
I think Kenneth Walker might be the worst comp.
Yeah, but he's younger, and
true.
But yeah. I don't like that. In my opinion, Trey is the number 2 back in the class. Dylan Sampson might be number 2, but I think Trey and Dylan. If you want to make Genty number 1, that's fine. But I think Trey, Dylan Sampson, if I ranked this, I would go, Najee Harris is on there twice, Dave. He's Cam Scatteroo and Caleb Johnson. So if Caleb Johnson is Najee Harris, why wouldn't you just wait and take Cam Scatteroo in the third round? Like, they're the same guy, apparently. But if I had to re-rank this list, I would go Samson 1, Trey 2, Genty 3, Hampton 4, Quinshawn 5, Caleb Johnson 6, then either Scatteroo, Tutton. It doesn't matter at that point. That's just me. But
I'd go Simpson 1, Genty 2, Trey 3, Johnson 4, Hampton 5. I'd put Scatteroo at 6. And was it Tutton?
Yeah, so you're putting Q all the way down there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think Q's is late second, third round tailback.
Yeah,
I think you'll get more value with him if you draft him in the late second, early third. Because there's always great good tailbacks in those middle rounds. The second on day 2. I mean, shit. Yeah. Tampa drafted Bucky Irving out of Oregon in the 6th round. The kid had 1,000 yards.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I mean,
unless you're going to get a game changer, like unless you're getting somebody that's going to be like a Derrick Henry, what Nick Chubb was, like you get a guy like that, it's a little different. But if you're just getting a regular guy, just a jag, right? Just a guy, you can find those in the later round, and that's what Dave here is talking about. He goes, I'm not taking a running back in the first round. Like the value's just not there. I agree. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because I mean, Amarion Hampton, I know he's getting a lot of praise. Here's the other thing. Watch how much this changes at the combine.
Oh, definitely.
Because I promise you, if Trey runs, Trey is going to shoot up boards because Trey has a crazy burst. He's got top end speed. His out of the backfield catching is going to be immaculate. Like I promise you, Trey will be the second. If the NFL does what they should do, which they never do, I think Trey's the second running back taken off the board.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, like you said, Carter, I mean, his burst, his top end speed. I mean, he hits that seam, he's gone. I mean, there's no way of catching. I mean, there was proof in the pudding with that Texas game right before half. They ran that screen.
I'm like, oh, beautiful.
I'm like, they're going to only get maybe 15, 20 yards. And I'm like, holy shit, he took off.
No, dude can run. And then Joe wants to know, Carter, how much input will Mike Martin have on the recruiting director? He will be the recruiting director's direct boss. So he will have a ton of impact and influence on that and input. So the way I understand it, the director of recruiting will report directly to the GM. The GM is going to be over all recruiting. And obviously coaches like Marcus Freeman has say over everybody, but the Mike Martin will be running the show on the recruiting side of things, and the recruiting director will report directly to him. So I think that's how that will run, which is a good thing. I think he'll have a lot of input. And the thing that people and it's changing, it's evolving, but like recruiting directors, personnel people in college football have always been there as a facilitator for coaches. So like when a position coach goes into a recruiting meeting, they have their board, and who they want is who the recruiting people go after. And the recruiting people give them input on, I like this kid has good tape, and have a lot of input. But ultimately the coaches are the ones that decide who they're recruiting. But that's evolving now because there's so much more to recruiting than just talent evaluation, everything like that. So it's going to be an evolving position, but ultimately the coaches will still have the final say on whether or not you take a kid or not. The recruiting people will just give them information. The GM position, which is what Mike Martin is, will have a lot more influence on recruiting than anybody else. So that's just my understanding on how that He's going to go. Yeah, and the GMs. The other thing is the GMs are on the road recruiting with coaches. Yeah, I've heard that a lot of places. Michigan, I believe Mike Martin is going to be going out recruiting as well. That's one thing. Like with Pantoni at Ohio State, Pantoni is their de facto GM. I don't know if he has the title yet, but he's always been the director of recruiting or the director of personnel or whatever title they want to give him. That's one thing about recruiting guys. They never went on the road to recruit kids. They just facilitated the visits, right? When they came on campus, they were in charge of giving kids the visits. And like Pantoni wasn't really going out to players' high schools or houses and things like that. That's a shift in college football where GMs are going to be with the coaches going to recruit kids to build that relationship. In the past, before NIL, before all this, the coaches were expected to build that relationship. And they still, they still absolutely have to, because ultimately kids want to go play for coaches. They don't go play for recruiting guys, right? So they want to know the coach they're going to be playing for and everything like that. But there's a lot more going into it. And like Pantoni texts kids all the time, and he's interacting. And I'll never forget when my brother was a GA at Florida. They were recruiting one of my friends from Kaufman, and we were sitting in study hall, and he was like, dude, I just got a text from Urban Meyer. And I was like, yeah, no, you didn't. But that's cool that you think that. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, dude, and I didn't tell him, but I texted my brother about it. And he was just like, oh no, I have Urban's phone. Like I'm texting recruits as a GA or whatever. Like I'm the one texting them from Urban's phone. Urban's not sitting there at 12:45 on a Tuesday texting recruits. But yeah, and so, but that's just, now it's evolved into where those people are actually faces in the recruiting situation now. And yeah, GM, essentially the money guy. That's also true. Sid says, breaking news: USC is soft. That's also true. USC is a soft ass program. And ultimately, I don't even like, not to get too into it, but like, I don't even think about USC. Like as a Notre Dame fan growing up, I thought about USC all the time. I don't even think about them anymore. Like they're an afterthought. Like when I look at the schedule this year, I'm like, oh shit, Miami, Texas A&M. Oh yeah, we got to play USC too, but that's not a big deal. And then that's just an afterthought. And that's what USC has become. Sorry.
Speaking of USC, did you see there? I saw a card that Caleb Williams signed that said Packers suck. I'm like, okay, dude.
Bro,
pump the brakes.
I didn't even look it up. Did he even beat the Packers this year?
No.
God, I can't stand that guy. I'm sorry. And I know like, a lot of people call me a hater for not thinking he's going to be good, but I evaluate tape and then I evaluate vibes and
character.
His vibe is such a fucking loser, man. Like, and if you really put on the tape in college, phenomenal athlete, great athlete, can make all the throws. The only thing he's really not good at is playing quarterback. Like he's really good at once the play breaks down, making things happen. The only problem is that when the play breaks down in the NFL, you get sacked.
That's what happens. Turnovers and all.
Yeah. Just go look at, and I know I've said it so many times, just go look at his stats and his tape versus any remotely good defense in college. It was awful. He literally handed Notre Dame like 5 touchdowns in his career. Like, here, you take the ball. But either way, not even, but we'll get it. So the Big Ten, so Josh Pate, right? He released his Big Ten program rankings based on, I guess it was a 4-year rolling blend of talent acquisition, on-field results, program resources, and stability. Do you have any? Well, I'll just put it up and then we can talk about it. Is there anything that shocks you on this list? He only did the top 10. Obviously, there's like 8 more programs that all suck. But Does anything jump out at you? Like, are you surprised at any of these?
I am surprised Washington being on that list. And Nebraska and Minnesota and Nebraska at 9 and 10.
Minnesota's the one that surprised me. Washington, I understand they went to a natty in this time frame, right? They played for a national title. They played for conference championships, albeit it was before they were in the Big Ten. But, that makes sense. Minnesota was the one that shocked me. Nebraska as well, a little bit. But, Nebraska has a bunch of resources. So I get why they'd be there. But Minnesota shocks me. And then I try to think of who's not on the list, right? You got, Northwestern, Rutgers, Maryland, Purdue. There's more that I'm missing. I don't, but Michigan State not being on there is pretty, not shocking, but Michigan State, I feel like is a top 10 program in the Big Ten, right?
Right.
But I mean, according to his criteria, they haven't been. Dave said Iowa seems awfully high.
They've always had a good defense.
I agree, but I also you have to remember Iowa goes basically 9-3 or 10-2 every single year. It's just what they do. I know I don't remember what their record was this year, but yeah, Indiana is another one that maybe because of the 3 years prior to this year, Indiana's not on it. Obviously, this year they had more success than everybody on this list except Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. But yeah, Indiana has a chance. Illinois being on the list also is super surprising.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Good old Burt Bielema. He's getting the fighting Illini back to their competitive nature when they had Juice Williams in that year in 2007 in Mendenhall. I mean, it was short lived, but I mean,
low key, I think I think Illinois is a sleeper for me in the playoffs this year.
Really?
If you can get good odds. Yeah, I'm telling you, their schedule is super easy, almost like Indiana's last year. And I think they bring a lot of talent back. And I think, I'm telling you, I think Illinois is a sleeper team to make the playoffs. But
interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
So Dave said last 4, Michigan should be on top. I don't disagree with you. Obviously, Michigan and Ohio State both have one natty in that time frame. Michigan has more Big Ten titles. Michigan has more, I think, the same amount of playoffs, right? Because they both have 3, I believe, in that time frame.
Yeah.
And then, but I think what gives Ohio State the edge, if I had to guess, is talent acquisition and I guess program stability, which is very subjective, right?
Right.
In the last 4 years, Ohio State hasn't lost a head coach. Michigan has. So that goes to program stability, even though they promoted within all that. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I don't know how he defines program stability. But yeah, I think Michigan and Ohio State are the clear-cut 1 and 2. You could rank them either order at that point. Oregon being 3 makes sense. Penn State being 4 makes total sense. The next one's USC being 6. I guess I don't disagree with it, but I just don't know what they've done in that time frame. I guess talent acquisition.
Talent acquisition, but they've been so mediocre, though, Carter. I mean, they've not really.
You say that, and I guess other than Washington, everybody else on that list has been so mediocre as well, right?
Yeah.
Washington made a natty, so I guess you can make an argument for them to get up higher. But other than that, I think about that because I'm like, damn, Iowa, USC, these are mediocre programs. And then, but you have to remember, if you're going to take them off the list, you have to replace them with somebody. So who are you replacing them with? Indiana, because they made the playoffs once, I guess.
Rutgers. Oh yeah, definitely Rutgers.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But we'll go ahead and reset the show real quick. I appreciate everybody tuning in out there. If you're on Twitter, come on over to YouTube, get in the chat. We got Dave and Sid here and a couple other people. Joe's in here. Get in here, get active. We like to interact and talk with y'all. And then outside of that, like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you do that. Help us out. We're growing it up. We got some big things coming down the pipeline. The spring game, Notre Dame spring game, April 12th. I don't have an exact announcement yet on what we're going to do, but I think we're going to try to do something the Friday before that spring game is my hope. But other than that, we're going to get a word from our partner here, and then we'll be right back.
What's up, guys? If you have been watching the show for a while, you know, if you're like me, that you love a good nicotine pouch. So that's why we're super excited to offer our first ever promotion here on the show. ALP pouches, ALP pouches, the new standard in nicotine pouches. A better time with ALP pouches. A better time isn't just a tagline, it's a promise. We love nicotine pouches, and we're here to share that love. Better products, better experiences, and a genuine commitment to a better world. That's why a portion of every sale goes to real causes, not political players. Simple, honest, and yes, better. Best part about ALP pouches is you get more pouches in every tin. That's right, you get 20 pouches per tin as opposed to the regular 15. Also, tins come in 3 different strengths from 3, 6, and 9 milligrams, so you can pick your strength. And amazing flavors. All the pouches come with enhanced moisture, so no more dry pouches chafing your lips or giving you cuts and scratches on your inner lips. They come in all sorts of great flavors, all your typical flavors, or try my favorite, the refreshing chill or the tropical fruit in the 9 milligram. ALP isn't just better, ALP is the new standard. Created by real users, not suits in a boardroom. We've made the product they never could. So go over to alppouch.com/Duke Show. That's ALPPOUCH.com/Duke Show to get 10% off your first purchase of America's newest nicotine pouch standard.
All right. Go out there and get some ALP pouches. I just threw a refreshing chill in. They're great. They're the best ones. But we got a little basketball going on just to keep you updated. Kentucky is up by 20 on Vanderbilt now, so I will continue to love Mark Pope for the time being. But do you pay attention to the NBA at all, Richie?
I follow the Cavs, see how well they're doing. But I mean,
they're doing really well this year.
They're doing amazing. I just don't get the was it Bally's on YouTube TV?
Yeah, got to go to getabox.com.
I know. I got get a box.
Promo code Menace if you want some. I forget what it is, like $25 off or something. But getabox.com, you can watch everything. I'm watching Kentucky currently on the box right now, and they're up 20 on Vanderbilt. But there was a debate on Twitter I saw today, and there are some people like NBA fans, which they're few and far between. But when they do, they get really heated about it. Do you think March Madness is more fun to watch than the NBA playoffs?
I think so, because you're in that one game, quote unquote, playoff in the tourney. A 12 seed can shock a 5 seed, and it's the biggest story for like 2 days. Versus the NBA, it's a 7-game series, and it drags, it lulls. I mean, granted, NBA playoffs is competitive, but it doesn't compare to March Madness and the excitement, the emotion. Filling out that bracket like Murray State beat UNC. Like, who had that on their bingo card? Those upsets are always what makes March Madness interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think March Madness is way more entertaining. Like, honestly, the first weekend of March Madness, like that Thursday to Sunday, is probably my favorite time of year almost. Like, I literally make sure that I can either work very little or not work at all that Thursday and Friday, because there is nothing better in sports than that Thursday and Friday when you have like 4 games going at a time, like especially with legal gambling now, like it's insane.
Oh,
It's, I mean, and so here is, I'm not doing it this year, but like my ultimate goal or what I'm going to do one year is I'm going to go to Vegas for that first weekend of March Madness and just post up at a sports book with all those TVs and just, it's going to be the best weekend of my life.
Like Chevy Chase
going to like vacation. Like I'm literally like, I already have it in my mind. Like I'm going to plan to lose like probably $10,000, and I'm just going to take 10,000. Like I'm dead serious. I'm just going to take like 10K, take it out of the bank, and I'm going to go to Vegas and just like, if I come back with money, that's a win. Like I am so, dude, I'm telling you, I'm going to do it. It is on my list. But March Madness is by far better than the NBA playoffs. I don't care about the NBA playoffs. Like I watch the NBA playoffs because at least they're trying. Like watching the NBA regular season is so miserable for me because
it's like a toothache. It's just so painful. Just they don't play hard.
Yeah, but at least the playoffs, they actually play defense and they like actually play. So it's more entertaining basketball. So I'll watch the playoffs, but like unless like, and I'll be honest, like I'm not the biggest NBA fan, so like my opinion is not probably what like actual basketball opinions are. But other than when Cleveland had LeBron, I really don't care. Like the Lakers run in the early 2000s was cool. I remember Michael Jordan's second three-peat. Like that was fun.
That was fun growing up watching them play. Because I love springtime because I mean, granted, I was a big Bulls fan, not because of Michael Jordan. I love Scottie Pippen growing up, just because my dad called me Scotty because that's my middle name and everything. And springtime came, like you knew the Bulls were going to go on a run, and it was always fun just to watch the playoffs, and especially the finals because the finals was. Was a lot.
It gets so heated, and like, dude, I promise you, like, I've watched a lot of the finals, like, because the finals, like you said, that's like players are actually playing, like that's real, like competition. But there was nothing better than the Golden State Cleveland series in 2016.
That was the best. Dad and I went to Game 6.
The best series of all time.
The Q was rocking. Like that was probably the top 5 sporting events I've ever gone with my dad was Game 6 to the finals. Watching the Cavs beat the shit out of the Warriors and Curry getting elite, throwing his mouth guard.
Oh, throw Chuck in the mouth guard. That was so sick. Yeah, no, I mean that was elite, top tier. And Sid said 90s NBA was elite. I agree. 90s NBA was way better. It's so soft now. But it's a conversation for a different day. However, I will say you said that Cavs game was top 5. I say this all the time, and I tell people because the NHL playoffs, and I don't want to get too much into hockey because I know a lot of people don't watch, but the NHL playoffs are by far the best playoffs in sports.
Oh, they are. I mean, those guys.
I mean, it's not even close. And I have to remind people a lot because, like, I went to, I think it was Game 6 of the Blue Jackets versus the Penguins in Columbus, and the Blue Jackets were down 3-2, so it was an elimination game, and it was the best environment of any sporting event I've ever been to, bar none. And I say that, and people are like, "Oh, you just don't go to sports." I'm like, "No, I've been to the best environments in college football. Like every single top environment you name, I've been there." And I promise you, it was electric. And it went to OT. It was like it was just a crazy game. One of the best things I've ever been to. But in other news, I'll hit a couple of questions and comments here. Joe had another comment. Carter, who within the USC framework has the final decision in terms of extending the rivalry with Notre Dame? Have to imagine it goes beyond AD, Deb Cohen. Yes and no. So, I mean, ultimately, the people who have the final say are the presidents. They could step in and say, we're doing this or we're not doing it for sure. But I think it's Jennifer Cohen, or it might be Deb, but whoever. Ultimately, unless the president steps in and says, no, we're not canceling this, Deb Cohen or the AD at USC definitely has the ability to do that. And on top of that, big money boosters pull all the strings. So, like in terms, because the boosters at USC I'm not familiar with, but if you put it in like Ohio State terms, like let's say Ohio State, Michigan weren't in the same conference, right? And Ohio State was toying with the idea of canceling the Ohio State Michigan game. If Ross Bjork wanted to do that, and the president, Ted Carter, was on board with doing that, ultimately somebody like Les Wexner, who donates hundreds of millions of dollars, could come in and be like, yeah, we're not canceling that game, or else you can find $100 million a year somewhere else. And the money talks, right? So ultimately the people that have the final say are the AD technically does, or the president. But big money boosters are the ones that pull all the strings. So it could be any of them. As far as that goes, it's going to be interesting what happens with that rivalry, because Dave says it here. If the Big Ten and SEC strike a partnership where they start playing out-of-conference games cross conference, it's going to be really hard for USC to keep that game on their schedule. And that's just, it's just part of the framework of what we're dealing with right now. And as that happens more and more, we've already seen it happen with Michigan, Michigan State, and Purdue, where the Notre Dame doesn't play those schools every single year like they used to. USC is the last kind of conference opponent out-of-conference opponent that they play every year. I would be surprised if it gets that far right now. But I could see the Big Ten doing it as a way to put pressure on Notre Dame. So wouldn't be shocked. Dave said he's having knee surgery tomorrow. Hey, good luck, man. 4 weeks we have right in time for March Madness. Exactly. Absolutely. That's what time. Yeah. That's what I've heard. The best time to get a vasectomy is right before March Madness.
I didn't plan last year.
You got to plan better. I haven't had it done. I might. I don't need any more kids. I got too many as is. But Avs, Red Wings. Are you talking 90s, Dave? Because I remember that you're talking 90s. It was insane.
That was a intense rivalry in the finals.
Yeah, that's the Epstein guy. You're right. Yep. Les Wexner is the Epstein guy.
Dude,
Epstein,
he was in a
financier.
He was in a suite next to Dad and I at the 21 Penn State game. Dad's like, "Oh, that's Les Wexner." I'm like, "Oh shit!"
No, I thought you meant Epstein. I was like, "Oh shit!"
No, not Epstein.
I don't remember when he died.
Wexner.
I don't remember when he died, but that could be breaking news.
Hey, could get released. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a body. Have you?
No, I haven't. I mean, where's the sheet?
Anyways, yeah. Him and Tupac are just chilling on an island. Oh, actually, probably shouldn't say island. Anyways, let's get to some more NFL draft coverage. Did you see the comments by Cam Ward today?
Yeah, was it the one like if you pass on me, you'll regret it?
Yeah. And
Josh Rosen.
Yeah. I thought that response was pretty funny, right? Like that's what Josh Rosen said. Like, here's the thing. So when you make a comment like this, okay, you're either going to draft me or you're not. If you don't draft me, that's your fault. You've got to remember you're the same team that's got to play me for the rest of my career, and I'll remember that. When you hear that, what do you think?
Pump the brakes, dude. You're going to go top two. It's not like you're going to fall to like Aaron Rodgers did to the Packers. Like, calm down.
Yeah, but like, so here I have conflicting thoughts on it. Part of me is like, all right, dude, chill the fuck out. Like, yeah, you were good in college. Like, you didn't win a Heisman. You didn't take your team to the playoffs. You didn't win a Natty. Like, what did you actually accomplish in college?
And that's the thing. Like they pump up these three. Every year, Carter. You know it's true. They find three quarterbacks and they pump them up, and then sooner or later, 2-3 years, they bust. They get released, traded, whatever. And I mean, it's the same recycled bullshit that you hear with quarterbacks every. That's why I don't put too much stock in drafting a quarterback. because they're not going to be with the same team.
Yeah. So I'll give you the other side of my opinion, because like my first reaction was what I just said. Like, all right, chill the fuck out, bro. Like, are you really that good? Like, yeah, I think you're good. I think you could be a really good NFL quarterback. I think you have a lot of qualities. Like, but to go off that, he has a lot of Patrick Mahomes qualities, right? Like, he's the off-platform, like, unique guy, right? But so does Caleb Williams, and I think Caleb Williams is going to be a bust. So my other side of that is, dude, I like the confidence. Like, I like the swagger. I like the confidence. I like that mentality. And, like, I fuck with it. And so, like, Dave brings it up. Like, you transferred 3 times. Yeah, but, like, the reason he had to transfer 3 times is because he was a 0-star recruit. Like, nobody recruited him. And, like, he played his way into the Heisman conversation, was a Heisman finalist. Like, I like that chip on your shoulder type of attitude. It reminds me a lot of somebody who never said this specifically, but Baker Mayfield, right? Like, he had that chip on his shoulder when Texas didn't recruit him, right? And he was like, well, fuck Texas. I'm going to go to Texas Tech. And then Texas Tech didn't give him a scholarship. And he's like, well, fuck Texas Tech. I'll go to Oklahoma. And then won a Heisman, gets to the NFL, number 1 pick, can't be too upset. Nobody passed on him. And then the Browns ship him out. And he's like, well, you know what? Fuck you guys. You don't think I'm good enough? Boom. Land in Tampa Bay, has been a good quarterback, lands a $100 million contract. I mean, like, I like that chip on your shoulder mentality. So I don't have a huge problem with it. It's just, when you make a comment like that, you know it goes one of 2 ways. Like, either he lives up to it and he is that guy that you're like, man, you're right, he should have been taken number 1 overall, or he's Josh Rosen. And it's like, you put yourself in a, which I don't have a problem with. If he believes that highly of himself, good for him.
Didn't Josh Rosen dub himself as Chosen Rosen?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
which also, like I didn't think Josh Rosen was going to be a good NFL quarterback to begin with, but he also got absolutely fucked by the Cardinals. Let's not forget. Yeah. Like, they drafted him, fired everybody, drafted another quarterback the next year, and said fuck off. Like,
and traded him for a 6th rounder.
Yeah, like but if he was good enough, if he was good, he would have just like Baker. Like, Baker got told to fuck off, and he landed and had a couple stops, and then eventually found a place, and he's successful now. And so, like, if you're good enough, you can overcome that, and he wasn't. But
you know why? Because he's got wideouts he can throw to.
Yeah,
that are worth their salt.
And he had Liam Cohen, right?
That prick.
I mean, the guru. He's gonna save Trevor Lawrence's career.
Oh, he will. He will when they're drafting number 1 overall next year. Drafting somebody. Shit, Arch Manning.
Right. But also, right before we came on, I saw this, and I want to get to it, and then we'll jump into some conversation about the college football playoff. If you're out there on Twitter, come on over to YouTube, get in the chat. We got a couple different people in here tonight, our normals. We got Sid, Dave, Doreen was in here, and Joe. Come hang out with us, ask some questions. I love trying to answer the questions. If I don't know, I'll tell you. But did you see Luke Fickell got extended at Wisconsin?
How about that?
Got a nice little extension through 2032. What do you like? When I saw this, I immediately texted my Wisconsin people. Were like, "How do you feel?" But if you were a Wisconsin fan right now, how would you feel about this?
I'd feel lukewarm about it because they've been not where Wisconsin has been in the past. I remember Duke talking about this could be his last year at Wisconsin, and then all of a sudden he gets an extension. Yeah. They must really must believe. I mean, Fick is a good coach. Don't get me wrong. It's just the talent that they can get up there in Madison. It's tough, man. They're known for breeding linemen, maybe a tailback here or there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously they have a strong pedigree in O-linemen and running backs with, Ron Dane, Jonathan Taylor,
James
and there's
White.
Melvin Gordon, things like that. They have a lot of running backs in their arsenal in the past. I think ultimately, so the other thing that I learned, because I as soon as I saw it, I was like, whoa, how? Because, like, first of all, let's not sugarcoat it. He's 13-13 as a head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. Like, exactly 500. Has not been a success. Severely underwhelming from what they thought they were getting, right? Now,
Correct.
I look into it more. His contract was already through 2031. So they gave him a 1-year extension. Is it that big of a deal? Probably not. I don't know the numbers on it yet, but the buyout is what I would be interested in to see how the buyout changes. But he's tried some different things in Wisconsin. Like at Cincinnati, he ran kind of what you'd expect Luke Fickell to run, right? Like he ran his defense the way that you thought. And then the offense was a little more spread than you might expect, but not crazy. And then obviously this past year in Wisconsin, they tried to go to more of a spread offense and things like that, and it didn't work. But I think ultimately what it is they wanted to lock him down because they believe in what he's building there. And so if you believe in what they're building, you don't want him to have any reason to go somewhere else. And not that there's a lot of people calling right now, probably. I don't know. Maybe there were, but I wouldn't think so. But if the other thing that's why I want to know the buyout numbers, because the other thing is, that's a 7-year contract. Like, if that buyout is anything near what I think it is, he's locked there for at least 3 years, no matter what happens.
Right. Yep.
Like, he could go out and not win a game for the next 2 years, and they're not firing him. If the buyout is what I think it would be, because he's got.
What do you think the buyout is?
Let me look up what his salary was. I'm sure he was making at least like $5 a year. So let's see. No, he was making $7.725 million a year. So with a contract of 7 years, that's roughly $55 million or so. So the buyout each year it goes down, but I'd assume if you wanted to fire him after this year, the buyout would be something like $30 million. And if your buyout is $30 million with what's going on in college football right now, you're not firing him. Like, you're just not. No school is paying that amount of money to fire a coach that's not going to work for them anymore, especially a school like Wisconsin. Like, we talked about it when Ryan Day lost to Michigan and Ohio State fans wanted him fired. Ohio State, one of the most powerful programs in all of college football, could physically not afford to fire him unless somebody came in, a booster, and saved him. Like, they physically can't, because of the revenue sharing that's going into effect, because of all these added expenses. And you're already going to have to deal with the fact that you're probably going to have to cut sports in the athletic department. A university just can't withstand the hits like that, like they used to. Like, the days of firing Jimbo Fisher and paying him $75 million to go away are gone. They're not going to do that.
Yeah,
they're going to just not be good for a couple of years until they can financially afford to get rid of them. Like, they can't afford to do that. And especially Wisconsin. Wisconsin doesn't have the money the way Ohio State does. I mean, they have money, but not like Ohio State.
Not like Notre Dame. Yeah.
Like
Notre Dame, Texas.
Yeah. And so outside of getting a billionaire's girlfriend to come in and pay to get rid of them, you can't do it. And so I would imagine that salary, I can't imagine they gave him too much of a raise. I'd say he's probably making $8 or $9 million a year now. And that makes the buyout probably 40. So, and each year it goes down. So, but I still think you probably have a solid 3 seasons with him before you can actually financially stomach the buyout. So, crazy to me. But good for him. I agree that I think he's a good coach. I think he has an opportunity to be successful there. I just seemed odd timing. I guess when you're recruiting the class of 2026, you could tell them like, yeah, he's going to be here your entire time for sure. No way we fire him, I guess is the reason you do it. I don't know, but it was shocking to me. But let's go ahead and get into it. We got, a little over 50 people in here tonight. I appreciate everybody tuning in, but the college football playoffs. So the Big Ten and SEC had a meeting, and as they are the czars of college football now, they had a meeting, just them two. They didn't include anybody else, just officials from both, to decide the future of college football, because that's the position they're in. And what's been coming out from that meeting is that they are making a push to expand the playoffs even further. So we had the 1 year of the 12-team playoff. Next year will be 12 as well. But there's opportunity in the 2026 season to expand it to either 14 or 16 teams. What are your initial thoughts on that?
I personally think the 12-team playoff was perfect. I think it's going to be oversaturated with teams getting in. It's going to you're going to have to make some adjustments with the scheduling, especially with the conference championships. You're going to have to do away with those. You're just going to have to whoever has the best conference record, give them the trophy, and then start the playoffs in early December. I mean, there's no way you can drag a college football season on into the end of January, almost February.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree. I think it was it's amazing to me that you got 1 year of the 12-team playoff and immediately they were like, nope, this isn't good. We need to change it. But like Sid said, I'm sure the SEC drove a lot of that conversation, because guess what? If you don't like the results, change the rules, right? The SEC is mad they didn't get their little fourth team in or whatever, so they're going to throw a fit. And so with both the 14 and 16 team playoff, there would be 4 guaranteed spots for the Big Ten and SEC, 2 spots for the ACC, 2 spots for the Big 12, and that would put you at 12 teams, I believe. And then the other 4, you'd get 1 group of 5 and 3 at large if you went to 16, or 1 group of 5, 1 at large if you went to 14. Which, whatever, I really don't care. You're still going to get the best teams in. The thing with the 14-team playoff that I don't think people are thinking about that much is, if you do the 14-team playoff and you give each conference those guaranteed spots, it's going to be 1 group of 5 team in Notre Dame every year.
Yep.
That's going to be your at-large bid every single year, because Notre Dame is going to be ranked higher than the 5th best team in the Big Ten, the 5th best team in the SEC, the 3rd best team in the ACC, and the 3rd best team in the Big 12 every single year. I promise you. Like, that's just.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just how Notre Dame is and how they're scheduling and how competitive they are. It's. So I don't. Go ahead, Carter. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, there's a lot of people pushing back on Notre Dame about that. And I just think it's funny because everybody's upset. Like, I still think they should find a way to punish Notre Dame for not being in the conference. Like, sorry, you can't do it. Like, I'm sorry. You can keep trying to. You can't. And if you're that upset about it, why don't you go independent? Oh, because you can't? Sorry. Like, that's not Notre Dame's fault. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Like, write better contracts? Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. It sucks, man. It sucks that Notre Dame is going to get an auto bid to every single playoff from now on. Like, the more you expand it, that's just an auto bid for Notre Dame every year.
Unless the Big Ten forces their hand to have them join.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Even if the Big Ten and the SEC say, guess what? You can't play any of our schools. All right, cool. You know who will play us? Every single Big 12 and ACC school out there. They would love that payday. So we'll just play fully ACC and Big 12 schools, and then the armed forces and random schools, whatever. That's cool. And guess what? When we're at 11-1, we're still going to be ranked in the top 14. So doesn't matter. Like, it's insane. But Ryan Day had some thoughts on it. And I want your opinion on this, because he had some thoughts on specifically the conference champions getting an automatic bye. And he said he believes the current college football bye system is a little out of whack said, I think if you win your conference, sure, you should get in, but you get a bye. I think that's a little much.
I agree with him wholeheartedly. I agree with him wholeheartedly. Yeah, you should get a bid or get in the playoff, but you shouldn't get a bye. I'm sorry. I don't think you should get a bye. I think you have the top two teams based on their strength of schedule get the buys. Then everybody, you seed everybody. I agree with him, man. Like there is nothing that I disagree with that statement, because personally, I think the conference championship games are just a waste of fucking time anymore. This year proved it with all four seeds losing, all top four seeds losing. It just it doesn't mix well with with the landscape of college football, in my opinion. And I think you just, like I said earlier, whoever has the best record in the conference, you give them the trophy, and you start the playoffs in early December.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with him. I think that's true. I think if you win your conference with or without a conference championship game, you should get a bid, right? Like at least the Power Four and then the best group of five. But here's the one thing I'll push back on. It's a little ironic coming from the guy who can't win the Big Ten.
Well, I mean, he just did win the Natty, so he's got a little bit of weight.
Yeah, I know, but like, it's like if you, it's like being like, yeah, I don't think that girl, like, I don't think you should automatically get a date with the Bachelorette just because you're on The Bachelor. Like, bro, you didn't get invited. Why are you talking about it?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I'm just saying, I agree with his statement. I agree with what he's saying. It's just ironic coming from him. Like, had any other coach, like, if Dan Lanning says this, or like, or like Steve Sarkisian, or whoever like won the conference says this, it's like, okay, I agree with you. But the guy who can't even get to Indy is talking about how...
Wait, time out. The last time he got to Indy was 2020 against Northwestern now.
I understand, but I'm just saying, yeah, I get it. You don't want that to matter as much because you can't seem to find your way to win one. But,
here we go.
I'm just saying, it is ironic coming from him. I agree completely with what he's saying. It's just like, if I was him, I probably wouldn't have commented on this because Michigan trolls are going to run with it. Like, of course you don't want conference championships to matter. You can't win one.
I know Dave's ready to pounce on that comment. I know he is. But here's the other thing,
he still wouldn't have got a bye. Exactly.
But here's the other thing, too. Like, if they go 16 or 14, they're going to probably follow the NFL model with the two top seeds get the bye, and everybody, let's say the Browns win the NFC or AFC North, but they have a record of 11-6. They're not going to get that automatic bye. They're just going to be in the playoffs. So I think that's maybe something the college football may try to model after with how the playoff seeding is and everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. And Sid brought this up, and it's a good question. Why not just the top 14 or 16? So the thing is, I agree with you. That makes sense, right? Why not? The problem with that is, and I guarantee you, if you did that, it's going to look a lot like it's going to look anyways, right? Like, if you go 16 seeds, 8 of the top 16 teams in college football every year ranked are probably Big Ten and SEC schools anyways. But the reason that you don't allow that if you're the Big Ten and SEC is I want to guarantee 4 spots. Like, I want to promise 4 spots. That way, if our 4th team is number 17, they still get in because that's money for the conference, right? And so that's why the Big Ten and SEC are going to not allow that. Now, if you're the other conferences, that's what you want. And the SEC and Big Ten have so much ego that they're like, well, if we get guaranteed 4 and we expand it to 16, there's a chance we could get 5.
They're going to just push the envelope just a little bit, Yeah.
Yeah. You want your guaranteed money with the opportunity to make more. So, But it's an interesting topic. I think eventually, I mean, no matter what they do, it's going to be 16 teams eventually. And that'll be interesting because in a 16-team playoff, there's no buys.
Which they shouldn't. There should not be any buys.
Yeah, so that just gets rid of that altogether. I forget who said it. Yeah, Sid said it. The seeds don't matter as much as I thought. I agree. Seeding matters very little. I think in the first round, every home team won their game, I believe. So maybe the home field worked, but outside of having a home game, I don't think there's really any reason to have the seed have automatic seeding or anything like that. Yeah, I agree. Get rid of the championship games and let's get some 4 and 5 seed games that are going to be fun to watch. Don't disagree with that at all. But other than that, I think that's all I got for us tonight. Richie, you got anything else?
I don't have anything else much to say. This dead period's killing me. Get me to the combine. Get me to spring football with the Birmingham
spring
Stallions.
Kicks up soon.
With the Birmingham Stallions trying to defend their triple crown, maybe go for a 4-peater.
Oh God, I thought you meant spring college football. I didn't know you meant
I'm talking UFL, man. Oh yeah. Giddy up.
If you guys want to know how much of a football head this guy is, he actually watches the UFL intently. I'll throw it on the TV if there's nothing on and maybe pay attention, but probably do some work or something. This guy's like, Carter, Birmingham plays Michigan today. Birmingham's -1.5. You should probably take that. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea what any of this
Alex Magoo's gonna be lighting it up for Birmingham.
I have no idea. All I know is that Benjamin Victor was on the team. That's all I got.
He's on Birmingham. Him and Marcus Barr on Birmingham.
So they're champions.
Oh yeah, they're champs. And you know what? When the games were in Canton at Fawcett, it was good football. It wasn't
Was it? No, I mean the games that I did kind of watch were fun to watch. I had no problem with it.
Oh
they
yeah,
really need
I remember
an environment.
oh, I agree with. I mean, they got to get more fan base and get more fans involved. But I, long story short, when I went to the championship game in Canton, they had one of the wideouts, Deion Kane. I was like, hey, he's gonna be doing a go route or what's the one route? Fucking where you're at the goal line. Fade. He's doing fade's coming. Yeah. I'm like, fade's coming. Boom, right there. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, I told you. And these guys were hitting, dude. It was fun to go to. Yeah,
I'm sure it would be. But yeah, other than that, I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. We'll be back at it tomorrow night at 7:30. Had to go a little late tonight. I had a meeting that went a little long after work today. But other than that, man, I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're out there on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel, hit like and subscribe, follow us on all the social medias, and hit that bell notification so you get notified when we go live. Monday through Friday, 7:30, usually here. We'll be back tomorrow night. I appreciate everybody again. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for coming out.